that there are certain inflection points along the way. And I would say today qualifies as one of them. And by inflection point, I mean it's something that's changed that we didn't necessarily see coming.
A lot more change to come. I think in the ebook world, you know, maybe 7%, 10% of the book buying audience is really converted over to ebooks. It's certainly not 20 or 30%. So how much more change you expect depends a little bit on how much you expect the world to move from print to electronic, print to digital. I basically believe it's going to move to all digital. But I think that what has not been taken on board at all yet by the major content producers is that they've been living in a sheltered position, because content production until now has required a production and distribution organization at scale. You can't wake up tomorrow morning and put books into every bookstore in the country. You got to have an organization that does that. You have to have expertise to do that. But you can get your book on the in the App Store, and it's suddenly available to everyone in the world. Or you get your book into Kindle. It's available to everybody in the world. And you don't need a large organization to do that. So I'm expecting us to see a lot of people who are not publishers become publishers. And I'm expecting to see that a lot of brands that used to have to go to a publisher to get to a market say, never mind, I don't really need that. I've already got a website. I've already got people following me. I've already got the brand that people are interested in. So I think, you know, on that level, the change hasn't even really started.
I believe that authors have an amazing responsibility in that they start national conversations when they're doing their jobs well and when we're serving them well. And I get up every morning and I think about how we can better serve authors. That's really true. And I think that we can do so in two different ways. We can do so by what I refer to as increasing the pool, where we are enticing someone who has not read a long-form piece of writing to do so. And we can also be effective by taking someone who does read and introducing them to another type of author, another type of book.
So social media, we've combined it with a content delivery platform, which is a bookstore in and of itself. And we've taken content, so there's a very great library of content that consumers can purchase. Bring that together with community. So we know social networks are enormously important. Facebook is about to break, or they have broke the 500 million mark, right? It's pretty notable. Where they go in the future is up to them, but I think it's a good indicator of the importance of social media in the landscape of commerce today. I think the problem is people have had a hard time, or companies have had a hard time monetizing.
97% of the time they got it right, which is the theory of the wisdom of crowds. So anytime there's a controversial answer is being able to pull a crowd that is not in collusion, that's the key thing. It's quite powerful. I just wanted to bring that up because I think that that possibility never existed with books unless you joined a book club. And that's one of the reasons why people join book clubs, is to say, gee, I read this book. Does anyone agree with me? And I think that the telescoping of that experience might actually be a powerful issue, just to reflect on what Anthony there, is that Hollywood figured out how they could do an end run around critics. Because they figured out that people who go to Comic-Con love to blog. Like, these are the word-of-mouth people of the universe. And so if you go down to San Diego and wow them, and they do, they bring out the best models, T-shirts, freebies. The crowds aren't really in the comic section. The crowds are in the Hollywood section. You cannot move. I'll guarantee you, you cannot move. You can get 100,000 people, if you get there inspired, they could blog the heck out of any critic who actually looks at the movie and says, this stinks. and I suspect that the ability for an author to go direct...
What we're seeing is that we're not layering on a bunch of extra content for the sake of extra content. I think the challenge for publishers is, and you know, the word that got passed around at Comic-Con is transmedia. Are you guys hearing this word now? It's starting to be the buzzword. Transmedia being the combination of words and pictures and movies and jumping out in and out of things. What's great about the Element, to me, is a table, right? It started out as a physical table.
Apple slipped the Mickey to the business. And it's a great tool, and it's a great platform, and there are a number of platforms that have come out. The sheer reality is that for publishers, for vendors that are working in this space, for the reader, for the retailer, this business is disruptive, right? And so as exciting as all these new content experiences are, and the fact that you could be inside of a book now and all of a sudden link out to Google Maps for, if you're walking in Italy and there's a restaurant that's mentioned and it's hot linked and you can link out to Google. I mean, that's happening now on ebooks. So I think from a user experience, it's an amazing trend. Social media, obviously, as everybody's talked about here, huge. The nodes of people that are talking to one another, these virtual book clubs. I mean, we're actually developing an application, a BI application called Relay Books, which will actually harvest sentiment from all these folks. And if you think about that from the publisher's lens and from the retailer's lens, what you're seeing is basically a disintermediation effect from the buying experience, right? So instead of going to a bookstore now, you're relying on your friends, but you're still going to a retail channel to buy that book, whether it's the Apple iBook store, where you do have discovery issues and metadata comes into play, whether you're going direct to Amazon, you still have a retailer, a trusted retailer relationship that exists. But from a publisher's point of view, you now have to deal with a host of new dynamics to manage that customer information and interaction, which you never had to before. You're getting sales feeds from